alone and I'm alive.
Welcome to Talkin VAWLS, episode number 109. My name is Boogie Bentley.
I'm VAWLS JP.
And I'm Dauber. What's happening?
Oh man, it's we got some stuff to talk about tonight. I didn't know what we were going to really do this episode, with the random bye week last week, and I decided, it was kind of a joke. It was the name of last week's show. I said I was going to take a vacation from Tennessee football, and I kind of did that. I took a vacation from Tennessee, took a vacation from the SEC. I didn't even watch football on Saturday, but JP sent a text on Saturday, and we're going to get into it, but let's first run down the live chat. Let's see who is here. Tim Bradley hanging out bright and early says, rock on tonight, boys. Smash that like button. Catch the show after church. We appreciate that, Tim, dropping in every single Wednesday on your way to church and then coming back and catching the replay. Ryan Luster is here, says, good evening, guys. IC86 has smashed the like button, and that's all we ask you to do. If you're a new listener here on the Talkin VAWLS Network, just hit that thumbs up. It drives the analytics. It helps the channel, and you're gambling at this point. You don't even know. You don't even know if you're going to like this show, but we would appreciate it if you do hit that thumbs up. Stephen Dill is here and says, what's up, go VAWLS. Alan V. Troll Patrol says, the saga continues, and that's just it. The saga does continue. Like I was saying there, I took a vacation. I was going to just relax. There was no stress. Nothing was going to happen over the weekend that would be able to upset a Tennessee fan. JP, you sent a text message late Saturday night. How'd your weekend go as a Tennessee football fan? Sum it up for us all here on Talkin VAWLS.
It's horrible. It's a horrible weekend. We didn't even play. Watching all these teams throw the ball all over the field and score all these points, and coaching staff down there just basically saying, we're worth every dime that we're making, while people down there are taking pay cuts. Just a bad week watching Florida. That tweet that Barrett Sally sent out late Saturday night, basically said that Kyle Trask threw 6 touchdowns on Saturday, which equals the number of TD passes that Tennessee has thrown the entire season. If you're a Tennessee fan and you are satisfied with that and you feel like that's acceptable, then you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem and why that this program has been down in the dumps for 12 plus years. I know there's a lot of people that are saying that we got to give Pruitt time, but guys, this is not year 1. This is not year 2. This is year 3, and don't even start about all this COVID stuff, because every football team in America has had to play with this, and for some reason it hasn't stopped Dan Mullen from scoring 50-some points a game. It hadn't stopped Lane Kiffin, who is a first-year coach that implemented his system during a COVID pandemic year, and they're running up and down the field on everybody, even Bama. So, that's not an excuse for the ineptitude that we are seeing Tennessee football. It's not.
At the end of the day, you're also halfway into the season. It's not like you're week 1 or week 2. Another thing, I saw a tweet from Jesse Simonton, kind of similar along the lines of what you were talking about. Last Saturday, 2 quarterbacks that this staff kind of turned away from, let go, didn't really look at. Sam Howell, he threw 6 TDs, 550 yards last Saturday. And then Michael Penix, 5 TDs, 331 yards over the last 2 weeks. And then, like you said, we've thrown 6 TD passes this entire season and are just averaging 174 yards a game. That's that's the narrative right now. The offense is bad, but you can't blame everything on the offense. You can't blame everything on the quarterback play. The defense has been just as guilty at times as well. You look at the third quarter of the Arkansas game, 24 unanswered points. At some point, the defense has been on the field so long, they were keeping us in the games early in the year, playing well, but they've been exposed at times too. And we had such high hopes for, especially the secondary. And we thought that the defensive front was coming around after their much improved play towards the end of the season last year. But it's just, there has been regression across the board in every phase of the game. And that is what's so concerning. And like you said, JP, this isn't year one. It's not year two. It's year three. I know his first season, you're coming off of, he was hired late. Recruiting wasn't necessarily all his guys and all that. Okay, whatever. But you're in year three now. You've had basically a full season and a half. You're now two full seasons of you being the man there with your guys. And it's an indictment of the staff he's assembled, the turnover. We talked about it last week. The coaching staff turnover has been mind-blowing, and that shows that some of the issue may be Pruitt and the difficult way that he is to work with.
Man, you guys laid out a lot that we need to unpack here, and that's the thing. They didn't even play football on Saturday, but we have so much to talk about. Some things I want to get into. I want to talk about South Carolina. Obviously, the chat is talking about Muschamp getting fired from South Carolina. And something I want to talk about is let's compare Tennessee to South Carolina as a head football coaching job. Because for us, all we talk about is, we lived through the 90s and our expectations and how high they are. But when you sit back and look at it, and I talk about South Carolina, and I looked at Steve Spurrier was there and Will Muschamp. And to me, when they fire Will Muschamp, the first thing that goes through my mind is who do they think they're going to get? And then I come full circle and I look myself in the mirror and I say, who do we think Tennessee is going to get if you fire Jeremy Pruitt? But again, there's a lot to unpack there. We'll get into all of it. Hopkins Lacrosse fan is here, dropping a $10 super chat. Thanks for the support. He says, good evening, gentlemen. This is usually the time when I try to be optimistic, but watching some of the other SEC teams play this weekend made me realize how stagnant the offense has been. Yeah. You're the most optimistic person in this chat. I mean, you were trying to be optimistic the week of the Arkansas game. Very positive guy, and it's sometimes you got to face reality. This offense is horrible across the board. Outside of maybe Eric Gray, but
he's not breaking tackles. I mean that's the whole part, and we Lord knows we've discussed JG until we're all blue in the face, and yes, I mean he is a huge problem with it, and they don't trust him and all that jazz and stuff. But I mean it is across the board. These players are not playing together. I mean, I guess think about it. Name me one game in 2.5 years that Pruitt has been down there that you could look back on it and say Tennessee played a complete game from start to finish.
I wouldn't say complete game, but when I look at his body of work, the game that stands out to me is the Auburn game 2 years ago. I thought that they came out, they had a game plan to stretch the field, and it helps that they shocked the world. But outside of that, and how much of that was 50-50 balls to Callaway and Jennings and just players making plays.
A huge part of the offense was, I mean, a huge part of the offense was. And, I mean, there's been other games that we've kind of tried that philosophy, and sometimes it's been somewhat successful. I mean, last year against Missouri, he threw for 400 yards, kind of the same deal there. But really, outside of that game, I mean, Zach saying South Carolina last year. Yeah, but was it really? I mean, we were down at halftime against South Carolina last year, and then came out and played, dominating second half offense and defense and special teams with all that. So, I'm just talking about, start to finish. And not every play is going to be a score, obviously. And, you're going to have some negative plays here and there and stuff. But, a game where Tennessee totally dominated, and I'm not talking about some one AA school either. I'm talking about an actual SEC team outside of Vanderbilt even. And I think last year against Vandy, wasn't Tennessee down 3-0 at the end of the first quarter against Vanderbilt, I think. So, it's just really, really frustrating. Like we said, seeing, and yes, I hate what Kiffin did, and there's no chance that he'd ever end up back here. And who knows, if he had stayed, how successful that he would have been. I think, unfortunately, that Tennessee hired him probably 10 years too early. I think that he's probably matured a lot and grown up, but that's what frustrates me, and I would imagine a lot of this fan base is just seeing him go into Ole Miss. And yes, their record is not great, but at least that they are putting something exciting out there on the field, and they're actually competing. And like I said, they made Alabama play. Bama basically took off the second half against us. Because we didn't put up any kind of fight. This team is not fighting.
Well, and we hit on it a little bit last week. It's just boring to watch. How can you get excited about what they're doing? It's basically non-existent offense. We struggle to get first downs. We went through, I think, a 3-game stretch when we didn't even get our probably most consistent offensive player, Samaglia, into the game to attempt a field goal. I don't know. I think this fan base has reached a point where apathy has set in. The number of people that I have heard say, well, basketball is getting ready to start. I'm done with this team until changes are made, until we see something happen. And right or wrong, fans have, that opinion. And a lot of it hinges on there needs to be a change at quarterback. And then you've got there needs to be a change in the coaching staff, or even there needs to be a change at the top with the athletic director in Fulmer.
Who they just came out and said he got a little extension under the table that nobody saw back
quietly in May. But at that point, Pruitt hadn't hit the skids. Basketball is doing well. Women's basketball is doing well. You've got some other sports. So, and it's actually, I looked through that and into it a little bit more. It's pretty on par with every other SEC athletic director.
I'm a former guy. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm a former guy, and I think he will do everything in his power to make Tennessee successful again, across the board, football especially. But I know a lot of people hate him, but I'm a former guy.
I kind of agree with you there. I know that, and I met him when he brought Pruitt in at a function, and he said, I had my son with me, and I said, Coach, I hope my son is able to enjoy years of Tennessee football like I did growing up. I hope we get back to that one day. And he said, that's my damnedest job. That's what we're doing, is getting football back. And I know that he truly means that, but you have to look at his downfall. He is too loyal to people around him. And that's what was the downfall of his staff and ultimately his head coaching career. The game was sort of passing him by, and he wasn't able to adapt and move on and cut ties with people on staff, and that did him in. And if he is given Pruitt advice in the similar manner, then that could be, the writing on the wall for Pruitt.
Or also, you have to look at his loyalty to Pruitt, being the first head coach that he hired. A lot of people say that he is loyal to Jeremy Pruitt. Let's hit this super chat from Dayon Cuberson for $4.99. Thanks for the super chat. We appreciate the support. He says, not to get you guys down or anything, but before the season, Tennessee fans were complaining about LSU. Then they gave us Arkansas, and we still lost. Yep. That's the truth. It's the sad reality. Let's go back. Let's unpack some things here because, I want to get a little bit more into the staff giving the option to take a pay cut, and only two guys that I would consider VFLs, two guys that bleed orange, Jay Graham and T. Martin, are the only two on the staff that take that pay cut. And let's hear what Pruitt had to say about it, and then we'll kind of unpack it and get into it.
I wanted to start this press conference just talking about an article that was written about our assistant coaches the other day. And I want to say this. When you talk about contracts, the situation is fluid. And, I know the men that are in this building. I know where their heart's at. And I also know the circumstances around decision-making and where they're looking for as where they're going in the future. So all I can say is this is the final chapter has not been written on that. And they will continue to look and see and meet with their administration to see whatever they can do to help supplement the university. While I can't answer all your questions regarding this, with this whole thing, the communication and, during the middle of the season, I did not specifically sit down with any assistant coach. I knew that they were being approached about it. I didn't know the outcome until Blake wrote the article on Friday. So, and what Blake wrote was factual, right? So, but I do believe, like I said before, that the final story has not been written there yet. So it's a fluid situation, and with contracts, things change. So there'll be opportunities, to make adjustments as we as we move on.
JB, I want to get your thoughts on that first, and then I may play a little bit of devil's advocate here. But when you read the article, what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, just looking at it from afar, I mean, it's just like, it's really amazing that those 8 football assistant coaches were the only ones in the athletic department that didn't take the pay cut. And, I was listening to what Pruitt said there. I don't know. It's just really amazing to me that him as the head coach and everything that's going down there, former, all of them, that they didn't know what their assistant coaches were doing there. They didn't know that those 8 had decided not to accept that pay cut. I mean, I'm not calling the guy a liar, but it's really, really hard for me to understand how that he didn't know that. It's just really, really strange to me.
Let me say this: when you kind of go down that road, something that bothered me is when I take football and move it into the business world. If I get that announcement that I'm being asked to take a pay cut, and it doesn't come from my immediate boss, it comes from some big wig in some office that I've never met. I take offense to that first and foremost. So I'm like you. I think if Pruitt knew about it, Pruitt should have gone to the coaches and had a one-on-one. He should have spoke to them instead of saying, well, I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know what their answer was. That just seems kind of BS to me. But let me say this. Yeah. Later in the press conference also, Pruitt cut a check to some of his assistant coaches and handed it over to cover their salary. And those checks were torn up because it has to go through the NCAA. But I think that says a lot about Jeremy Pruitt as a person. And you can say whatever you want about his extension and his contract. The reality is Jeremy Pruitt turned down a raise too. He pushed off his promotion.
He deferred.
Yeah, because we're in the year. But he could have. The reality of the situation is he turned it down.
No, he deferred.
No, he turned it down. They're not asking these coaches, these assistant coaches, to take a pay cut next year. They're asking them to take it this year. Jeremy Pruitt basically said, "Oh, you're offering me a raise. We'll push it off till next year." Yeah, deferred is sure it's the correct word, but the bottom line is he could have taken that raise this year, and he chose not to. And he also pulled out his wallet and he wrote a check to his assistant coaches to cover.
That's awful big of him. I mean, I wish I could get paid to do my job incorrectly.
Well, that's irrelevant. He doesn't have to do that. All I'm saying, I'm talking about him as a man, not as a football coach.
No,
I think it says a lot about him as a man.
What he did as far as offering that money up, yeah, I mean, I think that was a great thing to do, but the damage is already done because everybody's going to be looking at these 8 assistant coaches, and he's saying, that the final chapter has not been written on this. So, I mean, it sounds to me like that they're trying to do some backtracking there. And, will it come out, that these 8 assistants ended up, accepting this pay cut and, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, who knows? But definitely sounds like that they're doing some, trying to do some damage control there. But the whole situation, like we said, him saying that he didn't even know what his assistant coaches were even doing as far as this goes. I mean, I just find it hard to believe that if I've got employees at work and it comes out, like you said, from the employer, that there's going to be a pay cut and you have the opportunity to say no. I just find it hard to believe as him being the actual boss manager that he didn't have a discussion with his employees that basically report to him as the head coach about that. That's just very, very odd to me.
Well, here's the thing. Pay cuts or not, it doesn't matter when you fire another coach 4 games into the year and you're having to pay his buyout. So they've not saved the university any money taking a pay cut or not taking a pay cut because now they're paying a buyout. So all of that's irrelevant.
I think the most important thing for this whole ordeal comes back to what JP has been saying for weeks, and there is something going on within this coaching staff that is creating this entire problem. Now, let's look at it from a dummy standpoint here. 3 co-hosts of Talkin VAWLS. What if I'm going behind JP's back and saying, Auburn, I'm going to give you a little bit of extra money here, buddy. And and then it comes out to the public and JP finds out about it. JP's not going to be happy. And then he's going to, you know what I'm saying? It's like you have this group of men that are supposed to be working together. And now you've got 2 that have taken the cut, 8 that haven't. And one of the 8 is Big Jim Chaney, who has been the most inefficient coach on the staff, whether it's Jeremy Pruitt's fault or not. And he's making the most money. You've got guys on this staff, and look, I'm not saying I don't know the exact deals. What are they making? $200,000 probably. That's good money. That's good money. But look at the hours that these coaches are putting in right alongside Jim Chaney. They're putting in the same amount of time recruiting, watching tape, practice, everything that goes into being a college football coach. Now, I look over at you and I'm making $200,000 and I'm giving up a chunk of mine, and you're making $1.5 million, and you're keeping all yours in your pocket. Like, your cut would have been my whole salary, and you're not willing to give it up. Tell me that's not going to cause more issues with this coaching staff.
Yeah, and definitely. And, even though that this article came out, I think that all of this was out sooner. And I just can't, you will not convince me otherwise that this has not played a part in what we're seeing on the football field this year. And I agree with Boogie. I think that there is, obviously some, just some overall, I'm not going to say hatred, but, get along. And I just don't think that they're on the same page. And I think that this pay cut issue has something to do with it. Definitely. I definitely think it does. And what's even worse, in my opinion, about it, it's not even these assistant coaches, but it's all these support people, these people down there that are making $70,000-$80,000 a year. Yes, I mean that's good money, but those guys and gals, they're working their hind end off, for these coaches every single day, every single week, and who knows how many hours that they're putting in. But they accepted that 10% pay cut because, they're like, this is our livelihood. And, if we don't take it, then, maybe they end up having to start laying people off, or maybe I'm out of a job completely. So, is it better for me to take a 10% cut, or is it better for me to lose my job? And then you got coaches down there like Jim Chaney. And I think it comes out that he's making $120,000 a month. and he says no, he's not going to do it.
I'm pretty sure there are coaches on this staff that are making $200,000. So if Jim Chaney's making $120 a month, how many
120,000.
Yeah, that's what I say. That's
$120 a month.
Well, maybe that's what he deserves. Maybe that was the other half of my brain. But how many touchdowns has this offense scored over the last month? How much are we paying per touchdown?
Let's break that down into touchdowns.
Probably a good 40 or 50 grand a touchdown, man.
Jeez.
Let's go ahead, Dauber. You got any final comments?
I was just going to add. When JP sent that text, and I got to looking at the article, I replied back. They were the only ones in the entire athletic department.
Yes.
Not just football, not just the coaches, the entire athletic department.
You're talking Jay Graham and T. Martin.
No, we're talking about the
only ones that
didn't. So the only ones that didn't.
Yeah, okay. That's what blew my mind. Everybody else is doing the volunteer thing, showing that true VFL. And you've got these 8 that, I think they were like we've said about some of these players, thinking about the name on their back instead of the power T.
Okay, yeah, and it
all
starts at the top. It all starts at the top.
Yeah.
So let's just think about this. I mean, I have no idea how many employees they have in the athletic department total down there. I mean, I have no idea. 200 maybe. I mean, honestly, I have no earthly idea. So how many ever it is, those 8 assistant coaches in football were the only 8 that didn't agree to the pay cut. And you're trying to tell me that nobody talked about that. You were trying to tell me that nobody went into work and was like, man, this pay cut, man, this thing's going to, I mean, it's going to suck, we got to take his pay cut, but, really think it's the best thing. I mean, you can't tell me that coworkers and employees weren't sitting around talking about it. So you're telling me that out of all of them, the football staff didn't talk about it amongst themselves at all.
Yeah, of course they did. Of course they did.
I just can't see that. I'm sorry.
And that's why it goes back to what, and I'm telling you, JP, breaking news right here on Talkin VAWLS. Like, comment, subscribe. This is where you get the news from JP. You called this weeks ago. I mean, we're seeing a defensive line coach. Yeah, you see a defensive line coach get fired mid-game 4 weeks into the season. Clearly, they have problems. Let's move on. Let's talk some football. Let's talk some X's and O's, maybe a few Jimmys and Joes. But we do have 109 people watching live right now on a random Wednesday night after an impromptu bye week. We are glad that you're here. We appreciate it. We have 58 thumbs up. So let's go ahead and get the other half of you on board. Hit that thumbs up. It's right down there below the name of the video. Just hit that little thumbs up like button. We would greatly appreciate it. It helps the analytics of YouTube. You can also subscribe. Don't miss it when we go live. We go live every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Also Saturdays immediately following the game. And starting this coming week, Monday night, Dauber and JP are going to be doing the basketballs preview for that, and check that out. That will be Monday night. Did you guys decide 7:00?
That works for me.
That works for me. We just now decided.
Right here, live on air, breaking news. Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. the Talkin VAWLS basketballs season preview. It's a basketball school now, so it is what it is. Also, want to remind you guys that the limited edition Talkin VAWLS hats, tonight is the night. When we go off air, these are gone. You got 30 minutes. So the link is in the description below. It's also pinned in the chat. If you want one of those, you better go order it within the next 30 to 45 minutes or they're gone forever. All right. A lot of you guys have been asking, when is Harrison Bailey going to make a difference? We're going to get back into some football. Pruitt made some interesting comments about the young freshman, and I want to play those now, and then we can break it down.
Really good for our quarterbacks. I thought Harrison Bailey had a really good week along with Maurer and JT. And it was good to get Jimmy Callaway, Jimmy Holiday, Malachi Wideman, to get those guys extra reps there and just let them start understanding how to run the routes against certain coverages, So if you're going to run a steep route, a 10 to 12 yard comeback, if it's cover 2, you obviously want to convert it. Just the details of having to do it. Just to me, being able to have a chance for T and Coach Chaney to really kind of put their hands on these guys and coach them up, I thought was really good from a throw game standpoint.
So there you heard it. We've been waiting on some positive news coming out of practice, because that's what we always seem to talk about is practice, Alan. That's what we talk about, practice. Dauber, are we going to see anything different this week? Are we going to see Big Jim Chaney unleashed? Because it sounds like Pruitt also made some comments talking about we need to stretch the field. We need some explosive plays. But at the end of the day, I still think that Pruitt is handcuffing Big Jim Chaney. But are we going to see something different? Are we going to see Bailey? Are we going to see these freshman wide receivers, something creative?
Listening to what was said today, he didn't get into exactly who was going to start. His comments Mondays. JG did not practice Monday. And we saw that what you played, him talking about having one of the best practices of the season in terms of quarterback and wide receivers being on the same page and getting stuff done and all that. But you see the depth chart come out yesterday. And number 2 is still number 1, showing on that. I mean, we've not seen anything new yet, so I'm not gonna believe it until I see it. This team has really, they've done a number to my confidence in this coaching staff. And it's all the way around. And I'm not going to blame it on solely on quarterback play, because we've talked about it before. You look at the offensive line, all the talent and potential that is there, full of 4- and 5-star guys, and one of you said something earlier about Gray not breaking tackles. Well, it's hard to break a tackle when you get the handoff and somebody's in the backfield to meet you.
I kind of wanted to say that earlier too, because I agree with what you're saying, Dauber. I think he's made a lot of guys miss at the line of scrimmage. He's not making guys miss at the second level. That's where he deserves criticism. But at the same time, when you're making guys miss at the line of scrimmage, I think he's
hard
making plays.
It's one of those things. I'll say it one more time. It's the offensive line not blocking. It's Garantano not being an SEC caliber quarterback, because frankly, that's not what he is. He is not up to par with the talent level in the SEC. He can be at times, but he is not consistent enough throughout an entire game, week to week. And I think point blank, that's the bottom line.
So at what point, JP, do we let me play this? Let me play this. And it's funny because at what point is Brent Hubbs going to realize it's Jarrett and not Jared? But here's Pruitt's comments on Jarrett Garantano.
On Jared, you feel like he's going to be good to go for Saturday, or is that still day to day?
Well, he practiced yesterday, but all the other guys took a lot of reps over the last 3 practices. So we'll see how the rest of the week goes here. But I was really excited about how these other guys continued to work. And I thought Jarrett had a good day yesterday. So to me, it seems to be a little more confidence offensively, especially with our younger guys, just having a better idea to how to execute at a higher level.
So, JB, my question is this. We hear how great Harrison Bailey and the freshman wide receivers are playing, and this is the same press conference. We're backpedaling a little bit and now talking about Jarrett Garantano and how he's healthy, and we're going to get him. We're going to trot him out there, and he's going to give us the best chance to win.
I just don't understand why. I mean, here we are we're 2-4. If you look at it statistically, we are like 13th out of 14 in pretty much all passing categories in the SEC. Only Kentucky is worse. Kentucky doesn't even want to throw the football. So, I mean, you can't get any worse than what we are doing as far as throwing the football. And I don't understand.
Offense in general.
Yeah. So, if we're averaging, 13 points a game or whatever it is, I don't understand why that you continue to say that he gives you the best opportunity to win, because obviously that opportunity is not working. And when you're sitting here at 2-4 and you've got these freshmen and this is starting to be talked about a lot is, are a lot of these kids going to get frustrated and, with the highly possibility and likelihood of this one-time transfer rule, it's going to stink if we see people like Malachi Wideman, Jimmy Holiday, what's the other Jimmy Callaway, even who knows? Even Harrison Bailey. It is going to stink if we continue to roll out these guys that aren't producing and at least give these young players a chance. To me, it just, and I know we talked about this for the last couple of weeks. I just don't understand why the change in attitude with this from what Pruitt did in 2018. It was after every single game or, even at halftime, I'm going to find somebody that wants to play. I'm going to recruit somebody to bring them here that, that can get the job done. But, case in point, look who started at the star position against South Carolina. Slaughter. How many games, how many actual reps has he been in since that game? And
I was so excited. I was so excited for that kid to get an opportunity at Arkansas.
We are stopping anybody running the slant. We are getting decimated. We're getting destroyed by the slant, but you don't ever even give that kid another opportunity. It just doesn't make any sense. We just keep rolling out the same ones that just keep on just giving up play after play after play, and who knows? But that's the problem with it. You've got the future of your football team in a lot of these freshmen, and it's not like that these older kids are producing. It's not like that we're sitting here at 4-2 or 5-1, get these younger kids reps.
Well, at what point do you, go back and look at last year where, Maurer would start or JT Shrout would start. And then if they made a mistake, then they would get benched. And then JG came off the bench and actually looked good at times. Why are we not seeing that with Harrison Bailey? Why not give this kid a shot at this point? Like you said, JP, the season's over at this point. This team, the season's over. Why not trot Harrison Bailey? And not only are you talked about the freshmen and all these kids that are you got to worry about transferring. Throw these young kids out there, and not only are you showing them, you're showing faith in them, but you're also showing the fan base. Hey, look, I know this has been a down year. We've not done what we said we were going to. We haven't delivered. But look, we're gonna try these young kids out there. We're gonna give them an opportunity. And if we see them making plays, and this team still only beats Vanderbilt, we're gonna have a little bit more optimism going into next season.
At some point, you've got to think long term.
100%.
Because, like you said, this season is pretty much a wash. So we know where we are right now. Why not bring these guys out, let them get game speed reps, and let's see what they can do. I did see while we've kind of been on quarterbacks and all that, I did see something that was pretty interesting yesterday, talking about former Saban coaches that are now head coaches, and they're all defensive-minded guys. You've got Kirby Smart, Muschamp, and Pruitt, and talking about their lack of ability to develop a quarterback. If you think about that, which one of those guys have had a quarterback that has had any type of success, apart from maybe Jake Fromm at Georgia?
I mean, it's true. I mean, and I don't have any reason why that it's like that. But I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, that's what got Muschamp fired at Florida was, he wasn't able to develop and get a quarterback to be able to offense. South Carolina was a little bit different. I think obviously there that they just didn't have the talent, and he just wasn't able to really sustain that. But I mean, quarterback play is so important. I mean, it is.
It is critical in the SEC.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's in all of football now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot of people that don't watch the NFL, but I mean, football is a offensive sport now. The rules for keep the defense from being able to be dominant, because there's so many rules against hurting players and tackling and all that stuff that the defense has to play somewhat timid. And of course the offense has the advantage because they know where the ball is supposed to go, unless you're Tennessee. The other team knows where the ball's supposed to go.
Lord.
But yeah, so I mean, it's just absolutely critical. And Kirby Smart. I mean, can you imagine if Georgia had Justin Fields? I mean, chances are they're probably undefeated and the top team in the country. I mean, chances are. So with that defense, which I know the defense has been lit up, a couple of times, but still, I mean, a lot of it had to do because their offense wasn't able to sustain and putting pressure on the other team. So, yeah, Tajon, I agree. I mean, that's what I've been thinking for the last probably month is there has to be some Pruitt influence on this. I mean,
has to
because if you go back and look at Chaney, I mean, think of when Chaney was here the first time. I mean,
he likes to throw the football.
He didn't ever want to throw. I mean, run. Yeah. So I mean, and we didn't start out this season like that either. We went in frustrated in the first half against South Carolina because we felt like that he wasn't running the football enough. And then they came out in the second half and that first drive and they ran it down South Carolina's throat. So, that tells me right there that to me, there's something that is going on with Chaney with this. I mean, there has to be Chaney and Pruitt.
Maybe Chaney's standing in line for a smoky dog.
I don't know, man, but I'm having so much fun with you guys in the chat tonight. You guys are killing it.
What are they saying? I missed it.
Innocent culprit said Chaney handicaps himself and McDonald's. But that's another story for another day, guys. We're glad you're here again. Let me urge you. Let me poke the bear just one more time here. We got 116 watching. Hit that thumbs up. Let's get to 100. Let's get to 100. It's a random quiet Wednesday night. No football last weekend. looking ahead to Auburn. But let's hit 100 thumbs up. How about it? We got 115 people watching live. We're glad that you're here. Again, want to reiterate that the link to the limited edition Talkin VAWLS hats are over there in the chat. It's pinned at the top. You can go and check it out, pick them up. They are done tonight. We may leave it up for an hour or two, depending on when Dauber goes to bed. Once he goes to sleep, he's going to shut down the link, and they are gone. But let's go ahead and transition to Auburn.
You know, I'd like to focus on Auburn, you know, and looking at these guys as a team. To me, it starts offensively with their quarterback, Bo Nix, guy I'm very familiar with. And in fact, you know, his granddad and my dad used to coach together. So I've known his family for a very long period of time. I think he's playing really, really good football. They have two really good wide receivers, or three, that have lots of experience out there on the outside. They got a stable of running backs, play a couple of guys at tight end, and they're big across the front. You know, going against Coach Malzahn over the years, you know, they play with a lot of really up-tempo, different looks, spread you all over the field. You really kind of got to keep your edges on the defense, try to eliminate explosive plays, make them drive the ball through you. Defensively, Kevin Steele is a guy that I've worked with many years ago, a good friend of mine. They play a lot of man-to-man, mix it up defensively, create negative plays, play fast, play hard, have been really opportunistic over the course of this year. And in special teams, I think it's probably one of the better special teams units that we have seen. Very aggressive on their punt block team, have blocked a couple of punts, have been explosive in the kickoff return game, got good specialists. So it'll be a tremendous challenge.
Sounds like more of the same from Pruitt at this point. I got a lot of concerns with Auburn, obviously, as we all should. But, you know, if I was going to try to spin this thing and try to be a little optimistic, it's been when Saturday rolls around, it's going to be 3 weeks since Auburn has played live football. You know, they had a bye week, and then they also had the game with Mississippi State postponed. But they're also coming off a 48-11 win over LSU. They had some positive tests. We were kind of talking right before we went live. What are the impacts going to be of COVID? Will that play into this? Some contact tracing. We don't know who's going to be out because the way the SEC works, they don't have to tell us. But, Dauber, what are your opening thoughts on this game against Auburn?
If you want my opinion on Auburn, I don't think they are as good as their record is. They had 2 games gift-wrapped by SEC officiating.
Wasn't that back-to-back, too? Back-to-back weeks.
And just straight up given to them. And you know, talk to other couple schools, and they'll let you know all about that. But I don't like this matchup for Tennessee based on what I have seen up to this point from this team. I think we are going to struggle offensively. I think if Nix gets rolling, it could be a very long night.
Let me hit this super chat real quick. The Bilbo, Tennessee, throws a 20 at us and says, here are 20 likes. Keep up the great work, guys. Yeah, 88 people have hit thumbs up on this video. If you guys want to take those 88 thumbs up and just remove them and throw $88 our way, that'll be fine too. Whichever one. Both help. But thanks for the super chat, Bilbo. We definitely appreciate you dropping that on us. What do you got, JP? Opening thoughts on Auburn?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Dauber. I mean, you know, if you really look at it, Auburn should be 2-4 right now. They was gift wrapped by the refs. You know, should have lost the Arkansas game. Should have lost the Ole Miss game. I think it was.
Yeah. Good
yeah. You know, both of those games. You know, I mean, Auburn lost a ton on both sides of the ball this past year. You know, lost 2 All-Americans on the defensive side. They lost most of their offensive linemen. I think that they had 1 guy returning back. You know, they've got talent, but you know, Gus has been hit or miss down there. You know, they're another fan base that's fed up, but are kind of handicapped with this huge buyout that they've got. It does seem like the last couple of games that they have played that they've got their offense kind of ironed out. But like Boogie said, you know, it's going to be three weeks since they played. So really, it's just hard to say. I think Auburn is a lot like Tennessee. You just never know what you're going to get. But the common thing when you talk about Auburn and Tennessee is, Pruitt, knows so much about Malzahn, and he knows Kevin Steele. And so I was reading that, today in his presser. He was talking about, how he had been working with the offense some, I guess, more this week because he does know, what Steele likes to do. So, giving some input there. So, I guess instead of running up the left guard, we'll probably run up the center, I guess, about 6 or 7 straight times. But with that, it should be an interesting game. I can remember back in the late 80s and through the 90s and the early 2000s. I mean, anytime that you played Auburn, obviously they're not every year opponent, but a lot of history here with this rivalry and stuff. And it was always an exciting game. I can remember, I can't even remember what year it was, probably 90 or whatever, and we tied them down there. And Greg Burke missed that field goal as time expired, like a 37-yarder that would have won it, and we tied them. So a lot of memories with that. A lot of memories of the downpour in Neyland. I think it was 89 with Cobweb, and running through them, and winning that game. As a Tennessee fan, that's the excitement that I want back. That's the excitement.
Depressing.
I mean,
It's so
is
depressing.
what. Yes, it is. That's what I'm missing, because I just. I said it last week or whatever, there was no emotion in that Arkansas game, none whatsoever. Now, Brandy might say otherwise, but there really wasn't any emotion, I mean, it was like, oh, well,
You're just
we've
pissed.
lost
You're
again.
just pissed at this point. You're just pissed.
I mean, it's not fun, and these players aren't having fun either. The coaches aren't having fun. That's why I'm telling you, there's something internally, a huge problem here. Huge problem that you will not convince me otherwise.
I saw Heath Schuler shared out a video today on Twitter of a game against Cincinnati where they won. I think it was 40-0, just absolutely trounced them. And it's like, those were the days. Remember the days when it was like a South Carolina or a Vanderbilt, like you weren't even stressed. It's almost like an Alabama game now. You don't stress because they're just going to get run out of the stadium. So you're not even anxious, or it's just like a feeling of whatever. And that's the way it used to be when they played teams like Vanderbilt and Kentucky. You just because you knew they were going to kill them.
Yeah, because you would go into the game thinking, all right, how many points can we win by? Just how bad. And Kentucky always, typically they every 2 or 3 years they would put up a fight, but it was so great because they might be up at halftime, say, or leading in the second quarter, and then Tennessee would just turn it on, in the second half and end up winning by 28, and that's the way that we feel now, that's the way that Tennessee fans feel. We have a little bit of hope at halftime, and then whatever our coaches do, that's another thing. We was talking about, and I know I'm getting way off track again, but yes, the offensive game plan has been very, very vanilla, and it just doesn't make sense. But also the lack of halftime adjustments. I mean, just case in point, that Arkansas game. I mean, Arkansas came out and they made adjustments at halftime, and they stopped our run. And Chaney did nothing at all to try to counter that. I mean, just didn't do anything. It's just mind blowing. And then on the defensive side of the ball, for whatever reason, Auburn didn't even try to run the slant pattern in the first. Arkansas didn't even try to run the slant pattern. Well, that's really what got them started in the third quarter was the slant. I'd have been running it every single time in the first quarter because we haven't proved that we're going to stop it. So, just this coaching staff's inability to make adjustments again leads me to believe that this coaching staff is not working together.
We got to wrap this thing up. JP's rant on adjustments put us into overtime. But Man 256 is here. He's an Auburn fan, and he says we're Eagle. He also said he loves us. We're glad you're here, man. Other fan bases are welcome. I would love to hear your prediction if you're still in the chat. Let us know what you think the score is going to be on Saturday. Also want to thank Chad Tipton for becoming a new member of the channel. If you don't know what that means, it's just 99 cents a month. If you look right down there around the chat somewhere, underneath subscribe, I think it is. It says join. You can join the channel. 99 cents a month. You get access to custom Talking VAWLS emojis. You can see the cartoon emojis, myself, Dauber, and the baghead JP with a power T. You can also play with Jeremy Pruitt. There's some other stuff down there you guys can check out and have a good time with. But it's just a commitment to us, and it's kind of like just an ongoing super chat, just 99 cents a month. But, Chad, we do appreciate the support. Also, if you guys want to throw more super chats, I promise we will spend that money on JP's high-speed internet to get him back in the game. Man 256 is still here. He says 35-17 Auburn. Not a bad pick. I kind of agree with that. Speaking of picks, let's get into it. Let's run down some picks.
Probably giving Tennessee just a few more points than what they'll probably score, but yeah.
Maybe. Let's run down some picks real quick. Let's get into it. As you can see, we are as you probably can't see because
we got to figure that out.
I'm 14. If we could get a background behind it, but myself and Dauber are not smart enough. We're all terrible. 14, 15, 16. We're all neck and neck. The only reason Dauber is beating me right now is because of the entire Ole Miss debacle. We all know it's true. We all know it's true. They screwed me out of a win, and it is what it is. Let's run down these picks real quick. Gators, Vanderbilt, Dauber, who you got? Let's not break it down. Let's just kind of go quick.
Florida.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got Florida.
Really? Y'all think Florida's going to beat Vanderbilt? Come on.
So do you, JP. Moving on.
Florida
LSU.
will roll.
LSU, Arkansas. This is kind of an interesting one because I thought about going Arkansas, but I'm going LSU.
Yeah, I've got LSU as well.
I'm going with the fighting Pittmans, Arkansas. Pig
Can
Suey.
you yell out a big pig? Yeah, there you go. Pig Suey. You can see we got Ole Miss, Texas A&M postponed. We got Kentucky going on the road at Alabama. I kind of wanted to pick Kentucky in this game, but there's no way they're not going to get it done. Alabama rolls.
Yep, Bama.
Yeah, do that, Boogie. I can go up another pick on you.
Dauber's trying to pick and choose. He's watching closely, just trying to pick and choose when he makes his move to just pull away and leave me completely in the dust. Mississippi State going on the road to take on Georgia. It's not even going to be close. It's Georgia winning big at home.
Yeah, Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think Georgia will definitely win. I don't know how big that they win. They got major offensive problems, but yeah, Mississippi State's trash.
Missouri going on the road to take on South Carolina. This is an interesting one. I kind of went back and forth on this one as well. Who you got, Dauber?
I've got Missouri. I think South Carolina's in a world of mess right now.
Their best player on defense already opted out for the draft the other day.
Was that after, before or after Muschamp got fired?
It was after. It was after. Yeah. I'm going to say Missouri, although – I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I got Missouri, but I read something that they've still got a lot of COVID issues going on. There's could be possibility that this game ends up getting canceled. So I don't know how many players that they're going to have, but I've been impressed with Missouri at that. I'm just glad that they didn't start that Bazelak the game against Tennessee, because we might be 1-5 right now.
This is another one I wanted to go South Carolina, but after the Muschamp firing, I don't think that team's going to be playing together. I've got Missouri winning this one as well. Tennessee going on the road to take on Auburn. I don't really think any of us have confidence at all. I will say, as I mentioned earlier, maybe because Auburn hasn't played in 3 weeks, Tennessee finds a way to get lucky. I just don't see it happening. Bo Nix has played 2 of his best games of the season. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns against LSU. Absolutely blew them out of the stadium. And also that running back, Tank Bigsby. I think I've got it in my notes here. He's 7th in the SEC in rushing. It's kind of, maybe not the best, but he's building steam, week to week. The last few weeks, he's really been picking up steam. There is no way Tennessee gets it done. I'm going Auburn 31, Tennessee 17, and I don't even know that Tennessee will score 17.
Who's next, Dauber?
I'll go. Yeah, man. Like I said earlier in the show, I think apathy has set in the fan base. It's just not exciting. There are major concerns all over for this team. I'm not so much picking Auburn because I like Auburn more. Like I said, I think that their record is a false indicator as to where they are. But like you said, Boogie, they have come off of a couple pretty good wins. My pick's more so based on what I've seen from Tennessee up to this point. And I've seen an offense that is just terrible. I've seen a defense that struggles in coverage, particularly the middle of the field. So I've got Auburn 34, Tennessee 20, and they get to 20 late in kind of mop up scrap duty chunk stuff. I don't even think it's going to be close.
Boys and girls, Tennessee is going to come out and they are going to play Tennessee football.
Oh,
they're going to give up the slant. They're going to miss tackles. They're going to have busted coverage. They're going to run right into the heart of the defense. They're not going to make any adjustments whatsoever. They're going to turn the ball over. They're going to have costly game or drive killing penalties. It's going to be the same thing that we've seen under Jeremy Pruitt. Unfortunately, Auburn wins this game 28-13, and I'm not convinced that we even score 13.
That's what I felt. I said 17. And
Garantano will start. Garantano will play, and we might see just a smidgen of the future of Tennessee in the fourth quarter when the game's out of reach and no opportunity at all, and we'll just continue to hand the ball off and not throw it, not do anything. I have no faith. I have no faith whatsoever. Prove me wrong, Pruitt. Prove me wrong, Chaney. Prove me wrong, Ansley. Until then, you all are the smart ones for collecting those huge paychecks and not doing anything at all with it.
Well, somebody's in my earphones right now. Pruitt wanted to send this to you.
Was there any consideration to make a change at quarterback?
No, I don't really know where that would have helped.
That clip made me play when JG comes back for his 72nd year as quarterback next year. We'll still be playing that one. But that's it. That's going to wrap this thing up. Or not.
There was a picture I saw on social media somewhere, and somebody put one of those aging filters on Garantano at a press conference. It was hilarious. He had this great beard like I've got, and it said he was in his he was 42 years old or something like that.
Well, goodness, you can hand the ball off to Eric Gray. You can turn around and hand it off. It's fine. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Tune in Saturday night. Immediately after the game, we will go live with post-game coverage. Also, don't forget the Talkin VAWLS exclusive hats. You guys got maybe 30 minutes. I don't know. Dubber's old. He goes to bed early. So you better go get it right now. It's pinned in the chat. It's also, the link is in the description. And also don't forget the Talkin VAWLS State Pride merch is still out there. And I don't know, we'll probably leave it up. I thought about taking it down at the end of the year, but we'll probably leave it up. It's doing good. People seem to enjoy it. People seem to like the quality of the shirts. So go check that out. 3/4 sleeve, t-shirts, also hoodies, all that good stuff. So go check it out. All the links to all that are in the description. We appreciate you guys showing up each and every week, supporting us. And, you know, whether it's financially through super chats or just showing up and hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, tell a friend, tell a wrestler, tell a gram, let somebody know about Talkin VAWLS. But for VAWLS JP, for Dauber, my name is Boogie Bentley, and I just got one thing left to say, and that is go big orange.
The songs howl like we poets sat in our chains, soaking moonlit falls, unbroken past this inundated orb that we draw home, and it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive. The